It began as an ordinary day, in a place where the trees stood tall and the light filtered through in shifting, dappled patterns. The small town of Maple Hollow, nestled at the edge of the vast and ancient Blackwood Forest, was used to the quiet rhythm of rural life. But on a crisp autumn morning, that calm was shattered by a mystery that would haunt its residents for years to come. A mystery that began when a woman named Emily Carter walked into the woods and never came out. Even now, years later, the question lingers like a chill in the air. What happened to Emily Carter? Did the forest swallow her whole, as some whispered? Or was something more sinister at play? As we unravel the events surrounding her disappearance, we invite you to step into the shadows with us, to follow the trail of clues and rumors, and to ask yourself, what secrets does Blackwood Forest keep hidden beneath its ancient canopy? Who was she? Before she became a name on a missing persons report, Emily Carter was a daughter, a friend, and a beloved member of her community. At 32 years old, Emily was known for her gentle spirit and her love of the outdoors. She worked as a librarian at the Maple Hollow Public Library, where her passion for books and storytelling made her a favorite among the town's children. Her colleagues remember her as someone who always had a kind word and a ready smile, a person who could brighten even the dullest day. Emily lived in a small, cozy cottage on the outskirts of town, not far from the forest's edge. She shared her home with her orange tabby cat, Marigold, and tended a flourishing vegetable garden in her backyard. Friends describe her as independent, yet deeply connected to those around her. She was the kind of person who would drop everything to help a neighbor, who baked pies for sick friends, and who volunteered at the local animal shelter every Saturday. But beneath her quiet demeanor, Emily was also a woman of curiosity and adventure. She loved hiking the trails that wound through Blackwood Forest, often setting out alone with nothing but a backpack, a notebook, and her camera. She found solace among the trees, a peace that she struggled to find elsewhere. In her journal, she wrote about the way the forest made her feel, alive, grounded, and at times watched. Those closest to her say Emily was content with her life, though she had recently confided in friends about feeling restless, as if she were searching for something she couldn't quite name. She spoke of dreams she couldn't remember, of waking up in the night with the sense that something was calling to her from the darkness beyond her window. No one could have guessed that her next walk into the woods would be her last, the day she vanished. It was October 17th, a day marked by the fiery glow of autumn leaves and the cool promise of approaching winter. Emily woke early, as she often did, and made herself a cup of tea. She called her mother, chatted about the weather, and mentioned her plans to take a walk in the forest before her afternoon shift at the library. She told her mother not to worry. She knew the trails well, and she would be back in time for work. At 9:30 a.m., Emily was seen by her neighbor, Mrs. Dunlop, setting off down the path that led from her backyard to the forest's edge. She wore her favorite green jacket, sturdy boots, and carried her well-worn backpack. She waved to Mrs. Dunlop and disappeared into the trees, the autumn sun glinting off her auburn hair. That was the last confirmed sighting of Emily Carter. When Emily failed to show up for her shift at the library, her co-workers grew concerned. It was unlike her to miss work without calling. By early evening, her friends and family began calling her cell phone, but their calls went straight to voicemail. Her mother, growing increasingly anxious, drove to Emily's cottage and found the house empty, Marigold meowing at the window. As night fell and Emily still hadn't returned, her family contacted the police. A missing persons report was filed, and a search party was organized. Flashlights bobbed through the darkness as volunteers called her name, their voices swallowed by the silent, watchful forest. But there was no sign of Emily. No footprints, no discarded belongings, not even a broken branch to mark her passage. It was as if she had vanished into thin air, The search that led nowhere. In the days that followed, the search for Emily Carter became the town's sole focus. Local police, search and rescue teams, and dozens of volunteers combed the forest, forming grid patterns and scouring every inch of trail. Dogs trained to track human scent were brought in, but they lost Emily's trail just a few hundred yards into the woods, near a fork in the path known as Widow's Crossing. Helicopters circled overhead, their searchlights cutting through the dense canopy. Divers searched the small ponds and streams that dotted the forest. Flyers bearing Emily's photo appeared on every telephone pole, shop window, and community bulletin board. The entire town held its breath, hoping for a miracle. But the forest gave nothing back. Days turned into weeks, and hope began to fade. The only clues were puzzling and inconclusive. Emily's backpack was found propped against a mossy stump, several miles from where she had entered the woods. Inside were her notebook, a half-empty water bottle, and a handful of wildflowers she had picked along the way. Her camera was missing, as was her cell phone. No signs of a struggle were found. No blood, no torn clothing, no evidence of animal attack. It was as if Emily had simply set her backpack down and walked away, leaving behind everything but the clothes on her back. The search efforts gradually scaled back, though Emily's family never stopped looking. They organized their own searches, hired private investigators, and pleaded for information on local news stations. But the forest, ancient and inscrutable, kept its secrets, theories, and suspicions. With so few answers, speculation ran wild. The townspeople of Maple Hollow, desperate to make sense of Emily's disappearance, offered theories that ranged from the plausible to the bizarre. The most straightforward theory was that Emily had gotten lost. Blackwood Forest is vast, with miles of winding trails and dense undergrowth. Even experienced hikers have lost their way before. But those who knew Emily insisted she was too familiar with the area to become disoriented, especially on a clear day with no sign of inclement weather. Some suggested she might have suffered an accident, a fall, perhaps, or a sudden medical emergency. But if that were the case, why hadn't searchers found her body, or any trace of her beyond the backpack? The forest had been searched thoroughly, and Emily was in good health, with no known medical conditions. Others whispered darker possibilities. Could someone have been waiting for her in the woods? Had she encountered a stranger with ill intentions? Maple Hollow was a quiet, safe town, but it wasn't immune to crime. Yet no evidence of foul play was ever found, and no one reported seeing any suspicious individuals in the area that day. A more haunting theory emerged from the forest itself. Blackwood had long been the subject of local legends, stories of people who vanished, of strange lights and eerie sounds, of a presence that watched from the shadows. Some claimed the forest was cursed, or that something ancient and malevolent dwelled within its depths. These tales were dismissed as superstition by most, but in the absence of answers, even the most rational minds found themselves wondering. One detail fueled these rumors: Emily's journal. In the weeks before her disappearance, she had written about feeling uneasy in the woods, as if she were being followed. She described dreams of a shadowy figure standing among the trees, calling her name in a voice she didn't recognize. Her family dismissed these entries as the product of an overactive imagination, but after she vanished, they took on a chilling new significance. There was also talk of Emily's personal life. Some speculated that she had chosen to disappear, to start a new life elsewhere. But those who knew her best ejected this idea. Emily had no history of running away, no financial troubles, no secret relationships. She had left behind her beloved cat, her home, and her family, things she cherished deeply. As the years passed, the theories multiplied, but none brought closure, a case that still haunts investigators. For the detectives assigned to Emily Carter's case, her disappearance remains one of the most baffling mysteries of their careers. Detective Laura Kim, who led the investigation, still keeps Emily's file on her desk, a constant reminder of the case she couldn't solve. In interviews, Detective Kim describes the frustration of chasing shadows, of following leads that led nowhere. She recalls the countless hours spent interviewing witnesses, analyzing evidence, and searching the forest for any sign of Emily. She remembers the pain in Emily's mother's eyes, the way her voice trembled as she asked, again and again, if there was any news. Over time, the case grew cold. New crimes demanded attention, and the world moved on. But for those who loved Emily, the questions never faded. Every year, on the anniversary of her disappearance, her family gathers at the edge of Blackwood Forest to light a candle and say her name aloud, hoping that somehow, somewhere, she can hear them. The forest remains unchanged, its secrets undisturbed. Hikers still walk its trails, though many avoid Widow's Crossing, and few linger after dark. Some claim to have seen a woman in a green jacket among the trees, her hair shining in the sunlight before she fades into the mist. Others hear a voice calling from the depths, soft and mournful, echoing through the branches. Emily Carter's disappearance has become part of Maple Hollow's lore, a cautionary tale, a mystery without end. Her story is told in hushed tones around campfires, her photo still pinned to the bulletin board at the library where she once worked. For those who knew her, and for those who have come to know her story, the question remains, what happened to Emily Carter? Perhaps the answer lies somewhere in the heart of Blackwood Forest, waiting to be found. Or perhaps, as some believe, the forest itself has claimed her, and she walks its shadowed paths forever, a part of its ancient mystery. Thank you for watching until the end. If you know anything about this case or have your own theory, please leave a comment below. And if you found this story compelling, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Beyond Facts TV for more chilling true crime cases.